Live. We are back. Hello and welcome, members of the press and the established authorities, the local constabulary, that guy who runs the chicken shop down the road. Hello over there. Welcome to Byzantian
My goodness,
Brewscast.
everywhere else.
And anyone else for that matter, yes. Welcome to the Byzantian Brewscast with your hosts.
Yes.
Ah.
It's been long. Well, it's been busy. How's it been?
It's been a long week, 7 days, in fact. Just been very feels
It was,
longer.
it was 8 days last week.
That threw me off my brain. I think because of like Halloween and pre-Halloween stuff and being
Yeah,
up late, I feel like it feels like it's been a longer week than it actually has been. Time dilution
yeah,
or
that that
something.
that, that tracked.
Did you get up to much over Halloween? The actual like day of Halloween?
Uh, Fair bit. I made a trip down to Stourbridge to help out some charity event for the kids.
Nice.
Um, so the usual costume thing. It went all right.
Good.
Another character onto the list. It was also a bit of fun.
Just slowly, methodically going through every single mascot character you
Yeah,
could possibly be.
almost.
Just yes.
It's getting there. Yeah. Um, Apart from that, no, I just stayed in and had a few drinks.
Ah,
I was kind of dog-tired by then, so I didn't really want to do much else.
fair enough. That's honestly fair point.
Especially after our Halloween do.
Yes, yes, that was fun. Disturbed Friends.
Yeah.
We can't really talk much about it on stream, but
No,
trust
it,
me, it
it
was
got dark
very,
very quickly.
yeah, it got very bleak, very dark, and very, very not safe for work, very, very, very quickly. Yeah, it lives up to its name.
It's worth it though. It's a fun game.
Yeah,
Um,
it's my Halloween
what
day.
else was
I didn't stream
it?
like I was going to because I was just tired, but I did get to watching Treehouse of Horror 5 and 6. That was pretty good.
Oh yeah,
So I crossed
just
half of
DVD
the
player
disc.
then. That was.
Yes, I've crossed half of the DVD off the list at least. And like, yee. Feels good to reminisce. Like, because
I get
apparently
it.
now we're into like, I think it's Treehouse of Horror like 31 or some bollocks like that.
Wow,
How
that
many tree
is
houses?
entirely believable.
How many times can you make a tree house?
Running out of trees.
Running out of trees, yeah. Uh, in any case, so
Yeah.
I think other than that, haven't really done much this week that isn't just worky related stuff. So, do we have what do we talk about this week? What's good to talk about? So,
What's happened?
yeah. Shall we go straight into critical fumble? I feel like we got
Yeah, sure. Do
critical
that.
fumblings to be fumbling over. I think I've got several, and two of them are me.
Kind of had a weird run in last night with so went so went out just for a just a, and to be fair, it wasn't that many drinks, but went out for a couple of drinks
Uh huh.
just down a local pub near the train station, and we got talking to a couple of lovely ladies, and we decided that I don't know how, one of friend just convinced them to they pretty much let us go around to their flat.
Uh huh.
So we did that, and it just the night just took a weird, like a really like it was a good time, but it was like a weird turn.
Mhm.
And to keep in mind, we left the bar at about I want to say 11:30 midnight. So we were there the whole time. Somehow he convinced them to let us, round theirs for a bit. They even like you know they were really nice to fit. They even like bothered to bone some stuff in the oven so like we could all sober up a bit.
Oh.
Really accommodating us. Like I did not ask for any of this, but thanks. Um, played one of those really awkward drinking games where you talk about like sex stuff or drink and stuff.
Uh
Um,
huh.
And then that was kind of it. So nothing really happened. It just sort of like it started out was like, you know, maybe it's worth a go. And then it just sort of didn't happen, which is fine because I don't really know them that well.
Yeah.
Uh, but I was also in their flat, so it was like this felt quick. This felt really quick. And then I'm sort of like, you know what, that was just maybe, you know, maybe it's better to just keep it friendly because I'm not sure.
Yeah,
And
I totally
it
get
was an
that.
experiment. It was an experiment,
It was an
but a good
experiment.
one. But it's like
Mhm.
just had this moment of how did I get here? About 2 a.m. I was like, how did I get
How
here
did I
exactly?
wind up
Hmm.
here? What scenario got me in this situation?
Yes, why I'm in some strangers. It's a very nice flat, but why I'm in some strangers' flat? They're offering me fish fingers for no reason. I guess. But what's happening with my life? Well, of course, they were having some as well. But it's like, okay, I
Yeah.
mean, it's a bit of a surreal turn of events. I wouldn't mind seeing them again as friends. So it just,
Hmm.
yeah, it
S-
was a night, and I wasn't that drunk. And I got home fine. So
Mhm.
yes,
So that's cool. My I have a couple critical fumbles. So one,
wonderful.
my bag broke for Friday when I was on my way to my LGS. The zipper decided to just
Oh,
stop
great.
working properly, and then I tried to fix it, and then it just
Uh,
got even worse. So I had to like run with
right,
my backpack in like a heavy duty multi-use, carrier bag, go to Tokyo Toys
right.
and buy a new backpack. I could have got one from Aldi, not Aldi, Primark, but
But you,
I wanted like a
right,
pretty one because I was like, you know what? I was gonna get one. I decided I told myself when I get once this one goes, I'll actually get a cool gamer themed backpack. And so I bought a Pikachu
right.
backpack, which was like nice, 35. Because at least then as well, I know it's a good material one. Because the ones at Primark just felt a bit crap quality. So I have a
We,
decent backpack now, but it
yeah,
was just it's annoying when something breaks. You know, it's annoying to have to
yeah.
deal with that.
I'm following.
So I spent like a good hour trying to fix it, and just getting more and more frustrated. When really I should have just decided I shouldn't have like tried that hard to fix it because I kind of knew it was going on its way out
I
anyway.
do that.
And the other critical fumble is I ordered some stuff on Chaos Cards, which is
Lovely.
a store where you buy cards if no one's
I,
followed so far for basically
I
every
can't believe it.
main TCG under the sun. But I made a mistake
Right,
in when I was in the hurry of ordering before stuff went out of stock. Paranoia and all that. I bought two.
right,
I bought the wrong card, or I mean, in my order, I bought one card was wrong. So I accidentally bought one more copy of a card than I needed, but I guess I could put it in my like binder. And I might have accidentally
right.
bought two copies of Pearly Pretty Memory instead of two copies of Pearly Happy Memory instead of two copies of Pretty Memory, which is annoying. It's like
Right.
the deck will be finished without them, but I kind of wanted those ones. I already have three Happy Memory. I misclicked, didn't check, hit add to basket, and didn't check afterwards. I was like, oh yeah, it says something memory. It must be correct. So I feel a bit silly about
Yeah,
that.
that's like it was. I gave Matador another shot tonight,
Oh
just to get the gems and
yeah.
literally just throwing matches half the time. It was thinking, like reading through the mountain of like effect text.
Uh huh.
Yeah, because I started with because it was picked it up because it was cool. I picked up the Legend of Blue Eyes one, just the starter one,
Eh.
and I was thinking, it just reminds me of the whole of like like with Boys White Dragon and with Eyes of Blue, which is
Yep.
somehow different
Yep.
in ways I cannot fully understand. So why would you do this?
Yeah, because Eyes of Blue is technically a separate archetype to Blue Eyes, even though it's a support
Yes.
archetype, because Blue Eyes is now also an archetype in the traditional sense, because there are cards that now care about Blue Eyes rather than simply Blue Eyes White Dragon, because of course there's Blue Eyes Dragon
Yeah.
Jet, and I think it's Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon, and the other one, and
Blissful Dragon
Solid
is several.
Dragon. Yeah, it's like confusing. That's the problem when like a deck has like several waves of support that doesn't really support each other but supports the main component. So you have like 5 different engines for one deck. It's like just pick an engine.
It's yeah. It's a really case of they put in the word of in the name and it made it confusing.
Yeah.
That's not really.
But yeah,
Why
I
do you even
find
do that?
the best thing to do with Master Duel is generally, unless you're like have the fortitude of a saint, don't bother with ranked. Just every day log in, get your login bonus, and then do 3 solo duels if you've got the mission for it. Pro tip: um, you only can have one instance of each mission live at a time. So if you keep making sure
Eh?
that you have all the other ones available and don't do them, and you do the solo mode mission, you will always get it when you log in for the day.
Okay, you keep that in mind.
Yeah, so you don't, and you can also just redo any duel in solo mode. It doesn't have to be a one you haven't done yet. So I just do the first one
Oh,
over and over
that's
again
fair.
and make it just to get it done for the
That's
day
fair. That can
and rack
speed
up
things
enough
along.
gems to get some cool shit in. And then occasionally I'll do ranked towards the end of a month when some of the dailies are about to expire, or if there's an event on where there's an event that actually has missions in it, which usually gets you a lot
Yeah.
of gems as well. Anyway, so that was my critical fumbles. Guess who's also back again for another week? They had a couple weeks off. Wiz the Coast is back in critical fumble again because
I've heard
obviously
they were messing with some of the D&D influences and making their lives annoying.
that too. I was thinking more about because Magic Con Vegas just happened, and a lot of stuff was
Oh,
announced. So
right?
they're bringing back MSRP, which is good. That's actually a good thing. It's not a fumble. Uh, Damage is changing, so combat damage is now less confusing, but also more confusing. So they're changing the rules on how
Sounds
combat
like
damage works.
something they do.
Yeah, it's hard to explain to someone who doesn't necessarily know a huge amount of what it used to be like. So it used to be you attack, your opponent blocks, you sort shit out, and then things happen, right? Now they've changed basically the order of how things happen and removed effectively combat damage from the stack, so to speak, in a manner of speaking.
Right.
It's very hard to explain, but it does have some very limited implications that are not necessarily bad, but are confusing and render like combat tricks and things like that slightly more weird now. It
Right.
simplifies things a lot, but it creates a few niche ruling problems. Anyway, basically, if you do a combat trick and your opponent does a combat trick, things get very confusing.
That's fun.
Um,
I'm sure they wouldn't dare write it in a really long-winded and confusing way
yep,
that would make
yeah.
disagreements really common.
They've
Hmm.
also decided to make going forward new Universes Beyond sets will be legal in all formats, which is terrifying.
Hey,
So there's now going to
that's a
be
bit.
6 standard sets a year, which is bad because that means it will.
That's a lot of content. A lot of
Yeah,
things
too
can go
much.
wrong.
Again, too much product, but also format changes too quickly, kind of problems. And 3 of them a year looks like they're going to be Universes Beyond, and 3 are going to be Magic. So Magic is getting more and more diluted by the looks of things, as in the actual Magic IP itself is getting
Yes.
diluted in
Yeah.
its own game. It's a little weird. And they've also announced a secret lair, which I feel very happy about, but also disgusted about. I have very conflicted feelings. Can you guess what universe they
Right.
decided to add now?
Idle Pony.
No, they've already had that, sort of.
Oh, right. Right. You can think of the most obscure outer left field choices. Your Hunter from the Future.
No, but that would be amazing.
Play that, sir. It'd be amazing. Oh, which one is it?
SpongeBob.
Okay.
Yeah, just like,
Of course they did.
right. Yeah. Because when I think of a game where you sling spells at people and
They
kill creatures
from
with
Smith,
doom blades, I think about Krabby Patties and a happy-go-lucky sponge that's voiced by Tom Kenny. Yeah, that's where
will
my
they
thought. That's where my brain goes. What?
will they have like the my leg guy have his own card? Like what?
My leg? Nah,
Yeah, just
probably
like
not. But it would be very
oh,
funny.
that'd be
I'm
like
gonna assume it would be amazing though. A kill spell that's just my leg instead of like fatal push would be amazing.
like what? Imagine something like some poor writer was the guy's having to like explain how that happened. He's like, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I I'm conflicted because I really do like all of the funny Universe Beyond stuff because it brings back memories of Super Smash Brothers, and it is what Magic was intending to do from day one, years and years ago. Like that's why it's called a deck master system. It's an artifact of back then. They really wanted to do a multiple IP game way back when Magic was first
Yeah,
invented. So I guess that's fine from that point, but it's just SpongeBob, really,
it's not
and it,
it's not the first choice, is it?
yeah, and it does feel like it's starting to get to the point where yes, all these Universe Beyond things are cool, but Magic is starting to feel less like Magic. It's losing its identity a little bit, especially with random stuff like SpongeBob. Because obviously there's a
Yeah, I think
Marvel.
yeah, there'll be after that be Texas Chainsaw Massacre, followed
Yeah.
by the Care Bears.
Hmm.
And they're gonna someone's got to explain how it all ties
I
together
mean,
somehow.
it sounds crazy when you can have a commander. You can theoretically have a commander game. I haven't seen the reveals yet from SpongeBob. I'm assuming that SpongeBob's going to be a legendary creature. It'd be weird if he wasn't. But you can have a commander game in theory where you have SpongeBob versus Iron Man versus Nick Grimes from fucking The Walking Dead
A
versus
serious
Mr.
game.
House from fucking Fallout. Or I don't know, Magnus the Red, because that. Yeah, I'm gonna use my bubble buddy to destroy Magnus the Red, because that makes sense.
I think you need now to make it your last vision to make the most confusing looking deck ever made.
Not don't use a
Just
single universes within card. Every 10, you can
no.
only use 10 cards from one particular universes beyond IP. So it has to be a bunch of different worlds. Oh my days, that
Yeah,
would
like
be.
the long-awaited SpongeBob, Warhammer 40,000 crossover that like everyone's been after for some reason.
Yeah. So that's my critical
Like,
fumbles. Wizards, what you doing, man? What you doing?
thinking be money. You need to make money.
It's just they could make money without making a SpongeBob secret lair. Like the Miku one vaguely made sense, but not really. I mean, vaguely, because I mean, Miku also appeared in as the music video for the Kamigawa set. So and Neon Japan in universe and Neon Japan out of universe vaguely makes sense. SpongeBob, no sense whatsoever. Like they could have picked. They could have picked. I don't know if they're going for something Christmas time. They could have picked the what's that one? They could have picked the
On Elm
Grinch.
Street.
They could
What?
yeah. They could pick. Well, to be fair, they did pick Ghostbusters for the Halloween stuff. So they got good
Rough.
Halloween
Oh, Nightmare
picks.
Before Christmas.
Yeah.
That's actually good. Yeah.
So it's things like
Yeah.
they could have done.
Hmm.
I don't know, a Sonic the Hedgehog secret lair or something vaguely more magic oriented, even slightly.
You could just pick all like the site, pick all the deck that's all just Sonic's friends, and just don't include him.
Or like Discworld, or I mean, even the Hunger
It,
Games makes more sense as a Magic the Gathering secret lair than SpongeBob does.
Discworld is at least about wizards.
Yes. Heck, I'd even take
That's-
something like Buffy the Vampire Slayer or Sabrina the Teenage Witch over SpongeBob. It just the thematics just don't work.
yeah, there's going to have to be some bizarre crossover movie where this will all have to make
Mm.
sense.
The other
It'll
weird
be the
thing
weirdest cast ever. Yeah.
that gets me about the Halloween stuff and Universe Beyond, like Ghostbusters, great, but the set that they did for Halloween Duskdawn, it literally involves ghosts in a haunted house with like a bunch of teenagers going in there with ecto devices to detect ghosts, and the secret layer they
Yes.
didn't pick. They could have picked like Scooby Doo was right fucking there.
The format of Scooby Doo. Yeah, yeah, that's big time.
It's right there.
Evil Dead, maybe.
Mm.
Are you beginning to worry that magic is losing its identity? Sounds
Yeah.
like fun.
It's just like they could
It's like
pick. They
Fortnite
could.
now. It's like everything
Yeah.
Fortnite.
They
I don't know
could
what
pick.
Fortnite's about anymore.
They could pick properties that fit Magic's vibe more than Fortnite and SpongeBob.
You know, I never really watched much of it, but is there still like a huge following for that might make them think this is a good idea?
I think so, actually. I think SpongeBob is still quite popular. Apparently, like, it's obviously suffering from, what do they call it, series zombification because it's been going on for too bloody long. But there are some still really good episodes, even as Tom Kenny's voice is starting to, it's starting to go because, of course, he's starting to get old, bless him. But it is
Also, it's a
still
really difficult voice.
yeah, it's still a really relatively good show. It's just not Magic the Gathering enough. The vibe doesn't
Yeah, it's
even
not.
remotely fit.
It wouldn't be my first choice.
Like it makes even less sense than My Little Pony.
It's dear.
At least
It's
my
it's just card game Fortnite now. I think it's like
yeah
I remember one time I did play Fortnite like quite a while ago. Now it was just the you know survival stuff. It wasn't like bolted onto all of these IPs. It was just the Fortnite IP. I don't know what Fortnite is anymore.
yeah.
It's become a genre rather than a thing.
Well, I guess knowing what I do about Fortnite, it does vaguely have somewhat of an identity 'cause it does have a plot, and the plot is
Yeah.
weirdly quite cohesive. Like, strangely enough. And it does work the universes beyond stuff into the plot, which is something Magic doesn't do. So there's things like, I think they call themselves the Foundation or whatever, or this group of, like,
Right.
researchers. At one point, Iron Man was on their team. That was an in-law thing. And Iron Man helped out for a
Okay.
bit until he got, like, sucked away back to the Marvel Universe or whatever. So at least they weave the crossovers into the plot, which is something Magic just doesn't do. So it does feel even more disjointed than if they did do that.
That's fair.
Or even just having a
Yeah.
universes beyond canon. Just having a,
Just,
it, you know,
pick a lane.
yeah, because like Star Wars has, the main canon, it has the expanded universe canon. You can have two canons.
Yeah.
Like, just do that. Just give us something to go on, rather than just, oh, this is just a cool thing. Like, can we have some lore or reason for this to exist, please? Are these
Explain
yeah?
your work.
Are these planes in the multiverse? Are they creatures the planeswalkers summon from time to time? Like, what's going on here?
And the characters getting bored and going on like combat holidays.
Combat holidays, yeah.
That would weirdly explain everything. It's like a
Anyway,
weird intergalactic game of kill stuff.
that's Critical Fumble. I feel very old man yells at cloud when it comes to Universes Beyond stuff. So let's move swiftly on to our section, Homebrew of the Week.
For the
I
week.
fumbled the delivery on that. It's fine. What do we have this week? We've got
We-
a cool thing for us.
Uh, I've I've got I've got three things.
Oh,
Because I have been kind of half on this idea just um to do some sort of if not a whole campaign, at least something that starts actually in the abyss or in one of the nine hells.
uh huh.
Because I think it's really metal as hell, and was it Baldur's Gate just didn't really do it justice.
Hmm.
Yeah, the hell module wasn't helly enough for me, so I wanted to fix some of that.
Honestly, fair.
Um, that and I think I know it's a controversial sticking point. I don't like the hell cars. I think it's way too easy,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't like the thought of you're going to hell. You shouldn't have like a speed through unless you like have to give your soul up or something.
Yeah.
It just felt a bit too easy. So I want to do a full on like old school, maybe even like base some of the maps on old Doom levels, like style hell, where everything.
Hmm.
I think it's all very square, so it kind of works out. But
Some good
so
chunks.
where's they at? Kind of. Like, I mean, complete with like, there's no moral difficulty here. These are demons, and they are very, very evil. Um, and sometimes that's kind of fun. So I've got a few, and I just to keep it on brand, I did do the names or put them through vague Latin translations because that kind of works.
Mm-hmm.
I imagine the guy writing it would be like some sort of witch hunter or inquisitor, so he would use ancient Latin.
Yeah.
Just, just isn't like big beast thing. Haha! Look at this funny thing. This is like some very grizzled old inquisitor who probably never smiled in like 10 years. Um,
Hmm.
so first they called Tardavastum, which is apparently like I think it roughly means slow foot something. Because I had this there for something I didn't like. I found I can't find slugs gross. Like, you know what?
Hmm.
Let's just make slug demons because there is. I know one of the layers of the nine hells is a big old swamp,
Yeah.
and I know there's the abysses. There's hundreds of those. One of those could be a big old swamp, and they're gross and use and ugly. I really want to lead into the whole John Blanche style of demon, where they are. They're all low CR because I like to write my campaigns
Hmm.
at the level that the players would be, and I haven't started it yet. So I thought, right, start a low CR. Um, so these are just like the low ranking like pest demons.
Yeah.
So they have a big slugfoot, and they're very very fat and quite like chubby in a very unattractive way.
Right.
Like the whole like all of them's chubby. Like even their face, like they have so
Oh.
many face wrinkles that it's got this the flab just gonna goes over their eyes. They can't even see.
Mm-hmm.
At least not with their eyes. They have like Medusa style hair.
Yeah.
That's how they see. Of course, leave a slimy trail, which that has mechanics.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they're pretty much like demonic pests, and they're just meant to be really disgusting. Their entire thing was, what's the grossest thing I can come up with? And this was at the time. This is it. They are in about 25-foot movements. They're typically quite slow, but they tend to
Yeah.
find quite a lot of them in one place.
Hmm.
They're pretty much in. If there's an ecosystem for the abyss, they are every demonic bird or animal worth a damn would get bored and just make a snack of these. Um, let's see. They're blind, so they can't be blinded. Let's see. Immune to acid and poison damage. They live in a swamp all day, and immune to being frightened because they're just not mortal.
Yeah.
Um, the slugfoot has a purpose. They can't be not prone because they
Oh.
literally somebody not prone. They're literally bolted to the floor.
Ah.
Um, oh yes, so anytime if they move more than 15, anytime they move, they leave a So it's 15 feet long and 5 foot wide trail of acidic slime.
Hmm.
If you touch it with bare if you touch it with bare skin, it's 1d4 acid damage, and it
Oof.
lasts until the end of its current turn. So literally, it moving is a very weak attack because
Mm.
that Slugford does something. Obviously, spider climb. A favorite thing about it though, it's unfit, like literally physically unfit. So when it makes the dash action, it has no choice. It has to use its reaction to make a projectile vomit attack at directly in front of it. If there's no targets, it just vomits. If there's multiple targets, you randomize it,
Uh-huh.
and it's about the. Let's see. It's actually its most dangerous attack. So it's a low deck save to avoid it. Sort of like a Dragonborn's breath weapon.
Uh-huh.
There's one flat 1d8 acid damage, but the funny thing about it is it's involuntary. It has to vomit if it dashes because it's so out of breath.
Uh-huh.
The other thing it has a range attack. It can just like throw caustic snot for 1d6 acid damage.
It just sneezes at you.
Oh yeah, this whole thing was designed on like filthy body functions that are
Ugh.
just unsightly. But then demons, I thought, well, is that not the point of
Yeah.
a demon? The other one's a lot less gross, but I just had some really fun ideas. I was reading through my Lost and the Damned book again for ideas. Um, Sluvamels, they're sort of like they randomize them, and it's basically a one-legged demon.
Okay.
So it sort of looks really gaunt, like unhealthy gaunt. Sort of kind of classic demony, long arms, clawed hands,
Hmm.
a couple of horns, one much bigger than the other. But its legs kind of weird. Rather than like have a traditional leg, it's got like sort of like a snake's tail, sort of ending in like a single spike.
Mm-hmm.
So they move about by sort of like by hopping.
Oh.
Half the idea was there are some. I don't know. I don't know. There are a few names I've seen for them, but they're like the little insects that sort of not float, but they can stand on the surface of water without falling in.
Pond skaters.
Yeah, there's a few names, but yeah, that was the idea, but just one weird spiky foot instead.
Okay.
And they literally bounce around like sort of demented pogo sticks.
It's boing.
Yeah, but because they're demons, they've got that whole like they're really really cruel. Because they're kind of simple minded. They just live to inflict pain. They love being cruel. Um, they're also quite weak, so any demon worth a damn can just order them around, and there's honestly not much they can do about it.
Hmm.
So it's like they're all ego until something bigger shows up, and they're pretty cowardly. They will run. They will
Well,
fall in
they will
line very
hop.
fast.
They won't run, they'll hop.
Yes, but they have 35 feet hop, so they're quite nimble.
Hmm.
They also have a jump distance equal to their move speed because all they do is hop.
It's boing, yep.
Also, advantage on saves to avoid being prone because it's literally like a big flexible tail leg.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to knock them over. They would literally like imagine they'd comically spring back like a jack in the box.
Hmm.
Um,
I see it.
it's sort of a low CR demon with it's got claws, but its main thing is its big old springy tail, which does have reach. So it's like a good introductory demon. And the other one, because I wanted something more. I randomly rolled for something winged for this one. Um, so I came up with a weird. You know what? It looks like a dog bird. If that makes it's got like a weird canine face, but it's definitely got some sort of bird-like features. Really, no legs. Um, it's got a big old tail that it uses to sort of like wrap around things and stick to things rather than actually walk anywhere.
Interesting.
It's a really long tail as well, so it's sort of like a whip. Um, so they live in flocks. They're sort of like what's the term for them? Um, Sturges. They're sort of like Sturges in that they're really small and really annoying. Um, they're medium sized, so they're minor nuisances. 10-foot speed, 35 feet fly.
Makes sense.
Let's have a look at the traits. Um, Pack tactics because they're pretty rubbish individually.
Hmm.
Also, they're cowardly, so if they are reduced to half the original hit points, they have to pass a wisdom save or run away, even though they're normally, they're not immune to being frightened,
Hmm.
because otherwise it would make sense in itself. So yeah, I quite like the rule of certain creatures, losing their nerve at half hit points or less.
Hmm.
It feels sort of if you're losing a fight, you would have second thoughts, but these are meant to be cowardly things anyway. They love to
Yeah.
bully something they know they can take, but the moment it starts to turn against them, they're off. And keen sense of sight and smell, because they're all about. Ultimately, they're sort of like demonic animals. They're all about hunting.
Hmm.
Um, the only curious thing about these guys is they have a basic bite. They can slash with their tail, but they can use it to grapple. So if the target's medium or smaller, they're grappled instantly if it hits them.
Hmm.
But it's only a +3 modifier, so it's not hugely likely to
Yeah.
happen. But that's again, it's stuff for low CR stuff to make combat a little bit interesting or just gross people out.
Hmm.
So I plan to expand this a bit. So the whole hell swamp aesthetic thing's got a small monster manual to itself.
Uh-huh.
So basically, for run it multiple times, I can just seed stuff in whenever I feel like. Um, yeah, so that's my three things this week.
Nice. I love the
What you got?
theming. So I only made one thing this week. I was going to go for a few more, but I just didn't have time. But I've taken a
That's all right.
break from the Eldrazi stuff because I saw a funny image and decided to make a creature out of it, as you do.
Yeah,
So this is the Bananeese. It's a tiny plant.
Bananeese.
Yeah, they're tiny plants,
Right.
unaligned. AC of 8, 20 feet of movement because they're small. 5 hit points, 1d6 plus 2 generally. 8 strength, 9 dex, 10 con, so just basic con. 2 intelligence, 16 wisdom, and 16 charisma because, I mean, they're adorable looking, mostly. They have saving
Okay.
throw proficiency in charisma because, again, they're adorable looking. They're immune to being petrified and paralyzed because they're plants. They don't really have organ systems in the same way that people do.
That
Standard
makes sense.
senses. They have 10 feet of blind sight, just because I like things blind sight. Features. High in potassium. Once a day, the Bananeese may harden its skin as a reaction to the outer skin light of banana, giving it resistance to slashing or piercing damage the rest of the current turn. Just to give it something interesting that's vaguely based on banana-ness. Also has a trait called Slipping Hazard. The space the Bananeese occupies is treated as dangerous terrain for creatures size small or bigger. Creatures of that category must succeed on a DC 12 dex save or fall prone, interrupting their movement. You literally slip and fall on them. Because they are bananas.
Okay.
They are bananas. You might slip and fall. They are tiny bananas that walk. Instead of pack tactics, they have bunch tactics. A bunch of
Okay.
bananas. They have advantage on an attack roll against creature released when your allies is within 5 feet of that creature and the ally is incapacitated. That's the pack tactics part. However, in addition, creatures hostile to a group of Bananeese have disadvantage on dexterity saving throws when they are adjacent to at least 2 Bananeese. Because again, they're bananas, you can slip and fall on them. And if there's a bunch of bananas on the floor in one space, you're much more likely to slip. Because it's harder.
That's true.
So
So this whole encounter would be up tripping over bananas.
basically, I'm going to put, before I go into the description, I'm putting in pics and vids the picture that inspired this. I saw it at I
I'm
think
gonna
it was
yeah.
an AMV thing of strange images with earthbound music.
Oh, I know those. Yeah.
So, the Bananeese is an odd, usually harmless fruit. They fall from the banana
Mm.
gander tree when fully grown in the summer, and wander around for summer before they become too mushy to move and become one with the earth again. During their fleeting lives, they enjoy making mischief, tripping beings over, spraying water from their beaks at passers-by, and other pranks. Sometimes their play becomes a little
Beaks.
violent. Yeah, yeah, they have little like banana beaks.
Okay.
So they peck creatures to annoy them, but in large numbers or when overexciting, their play fighting can injure or even kill some creatures. Bananees seem to lack any concept of life or mortality, and thus even their little shenanigans can have horrific unintended consequences because they're plants. They don't really get how animals work,
I'm following.
and that they only live for like a summer. That's their entire lifespan. So the idea they're not intelligent for a start, but the idea that creatures live longer than them, baffling, absolutely baffling. But yeah, just little bananas. They waddle around on their two little feet. That's also part of the banana peel for some reason. I don't I don't know who created this image or why, but I was
I
like,
imagine they don't have arms as well.
they don't have any arms. They just use like bits of banana peel as if they were arms. Not very effectively, mind. But yeah, I was like, you know what? I have to turn this into a monster. A, because this is hilarious and could go in something like one honk before midnight, or perhaps one honk after midnight if you want to be funny. And there's not that many plant type creatures in D&D, so I thought, you know what? Something a little bit more
They aren't.
whimsical
Yeah.
than the shambling mound. Let's do bananas.
I like to. I can see them working as right as a side effect of using wild magic.
Yeah, just animate
Just
bananas. Oh,
accidentally just unleash like 2d10 Ananias, and they just run around like absolute lunatics.
yeah, basically. But the idea is because they're a CR quarter creature, so you'd even at level one, at the minimum you'd see is 4. So you imagine like at level 3,
Okay.
like a swarm of like 8 of these little guys just running around, pecking at people's kneecaps, making people trip over, possibly accompanied by slightly more dangerous creatures, maybe even other plants or fungi that they've vaguely allied with because plant.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can see it. Just imagining like you would if you throw them into it or in a fight that's already going on, it just becomes pure chaos.
Yes. So that's our homebrews of the week. We'll post them up in a minute. So,
Right.
do we have any skirmish report stuff? Have you been playing any like games recently? The tabletop stuff?
Yes, I ran my Halloween D&D session. Uh,
Ooh. How did that go?
they they won.
That's good. That's
There's
a
a
good
comedy
start.
character in there. Then my NPC survived this time.
Hey. So what was like the plot of this like
Um,
D&D one shot?
it was my Fatal Frame one again that I've
Ah.
reliably run a few times,
Mhm.
and it's a really fun one. It's easy to run. Really simple premise. I run it level 1 or 2 start, and if I need
Mhm.
to, just level them up halfway through. Basically, think not quite Japan because sometimes that's kind of a fun aesthetic to just run with.
Mhm.
And there's a big old haunted mountain, people going missing, go investigate, that kind of thing.
Yep. Seems good.
Yeah, I've run it like 3 4 times now. I've liked it every time,
Nice.
and you get to use Audacity and make my own spooky sound effects and all that. So that's yeah. I don't think you've run it yet, have you? Don't think
I don't think I've actually been in
if
that
I
one
haven't
yet.
forgotten.
No.
That's fun. What have I been replaying? Lots of Final Fantasy X.
Nice.
Because I'm trying to 100% it.
Ah.
I never realized how hard it was to
Uh-huh.
do that. Like beating the main game, not that hard. Um, because you can get obscenely powerful characters pretty early on.
Hmm. I'm
But
assuming it's stuff
the
like
difficult,
the is it Blitzball in 10?
oh god, yeah, sod that.
Things
That's
like
another
the
thing.
yeah
I,
the mini games are going to be like the oh
I don't like Blitzball. You have to do it to get to 100% it too. No,
Shh.
it's the optional bosses that are giving me problems
Ah.
because yeah, I'm beginning to max out characters' hit points, so they literally can't get any beefier like that.
Mm-hmm.
But there was so there was a side quest I almost did by accident. If you do all the trials along the plot
Mm-hmm.
and all the optional bits as well, you get a special item. I don't know how you'd know to do this, um,
Haha.
because it's really. But you can go to an underwater temple, which is in an area that is not on the map unless you get the coordinates right. Yep. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Then you can go there, and you can get a really, really powerful summon.
Right.
Um, yeah, but it is worth it. It is very, very good.
Hmm.
But A, you wouldn't know to do it realistically,
Uh-huh.
and I am only. It's so frustrating. I am having played the game somewhat normally. I am 2 items short.
Oh.
So I can go back. I can go back and get them, which is nice of them.
Right.
But the problem is you have to beat the Dark Aeons, and but they just called summons Aeons in 10 for some reason. The Dark Aeons are optional bosses with literally millions of hit points.
Ay, yikes.
And this is a game where the damage, unless it's like certain attacks,
Mm-hmm.
the damage you can do caps out at 9999
Slight
per
problem.
attack. Yeah.
So you've got to start doing like attacks that have multiple hits rather than.
There's a few, but it's keep in mind as well they hit absurdly hard. They can even like maxed out characters, they can one shot them.
Shit.
And they get multiple actions, and all their stats are literally through the roof. And I've got to do that to at least 2 of the temples because you know, missed something hidden and secret. And it will be worth it, but it's going to be a lot of work.
Yeesh.
So I'm literally going to the end game area just to level every character up to max, and that might give me half a chance,
Hmm.
but it also might not.
Well, best of luck with that. I mean, I suppose you're gonna
Yeah,
need the luck, actually, the RNG.
the game is that good. The game is that good that it's worth it, but it's going to
Hmm.
be a serious doing to actually make it possible.
Hmm. I get it. So
Have you been
this
playing it
week,
recently?
so I went to F&M last week. That's the main sort of thing I guess I really did. That's that kind of way. I played the funny Yorion deck, and I somehow had the absolute just worst luck imaginable this week. Like, so how Yorion works is Yorion does something called
Yeah.
Flicker, which basically means you exile a creature you control, and then
Mm-hmm.
immediately bring it back. Normally, you'd
Right.
think, well, that's kind of useless, especially since creatures have summoning sickness. So that's kind of bad, right? But the creatures that you use for Yorion have what they call end to the battlefield abilities. So when you flicker them, their ability goes off again. And what Yorion does is it can flicker until the end phase, or the next end step,
Right.
as many other non land permanents as you want that are yours. So you could flicker, apart from your lands, your entire board except him. So obviously you run a lot of into the battlefield effects. But generally, how the deck works is there are other cards that do what Yorion does similarly, except to only one thing. On an end to the battlefield trigger. So you have something like Flicker Wisp. So Yorion comes in, flickers the Flicker Wisp and some other things. End step happens. All the things come back in there until the battlefields go off, giving you value. And then Flicker Wisp, or whatever, flickers Yorion until the next end step. And then so on and so forth through your opponent's turns, because it doesn't say your next end step. So during every player's end step, near enough, either Yorion's coming back or your board is coming back and doing a lot of valuable things.
Right?
Unfortunately, 3 games in a row, I didn't see any single card that could flicker Yorion on an enter the battlefield trigger on a creature. I run like 3 or 4 of them, didn't see any of them. So I didn't get the value engine off in the way that I wanted to. So I'm gonna have to edit the deck. I think I can. I think there's a searcher that I can add in that will search at least one of the cards that I need, and also do other things to the deck. But it's annoying because I can only search one of the main components off of it, none of the others, and it's just a. I don't really want to run
Okay, so it's
more because the problem is that the only reason you run these 3 or 4 cards that flicker other things is because you want to flicker your commander Yorion. If you have like Flicker Wisp in play and another one of those types of cards in your hand, it is a dead card. You don't need it if you've got one of them already. But to getting to the first one is the hard part. And I don't want to run too many different ones because again, yes, it makes it more consistent, but if I draw a second one, it's shit.
uh
It's just yeah, it's a whole thing. But yeah, that was my Scourge report. I fail. It's annoying as well because I don't get to play the deck very often because it's in a massive deck box. So it's about the
right.
width. It's so width wise, from end to end, it's about the entire width of my backpack. So it's a bit annoying to pack.
Oh, okay.
Because I double sleeved it because the inner sleeves split, so I outer sleeved it because I like the style of the sleeves, but obviously I didn't want them to split. So it's in a really big box, complete with tokens. It's really nice because it's got compartments and it's got the bit for the dice, got a bit for my tokens and another bit for more tokens and stuff like that. It's just really fucking big. So I'm upset that it didn't go off tonight. Well, last night. Not last night, but
Okay.
Friday. Oh well.
Fair enough.
Do
I've
yeah.
I've been considering getting some like silly decks and actually get starting to play. Actually, use
The orcs.
I mean to bring like goblin decks to bring it round on Thursday.
Yeah, orcs, 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 orcs. Yes, bring the orcs.
And just play it like Joey. Just put monsters out, whack stuff.
So, moving on, do we have a Mordekainen's time machine or the time machine of rulings? Do we have something that we think from an old edition of any TTRPG or anything for that matter that we think actually the old ruling was somewhat better and here's why?
No, yes, yes. I've been watching. Occasionally, I'll go and watch. Like people do like battle reports, like Warhammer 40,000 battle reports from like, second edition,
Mm-hmm.
and I really love how morale worked in that because it was really harsh. Like once is it? But so basically, basically the rather than fleet, basically what would happen is once one unit panics, and it might have been a thing with old Warhammer Fantasy as well.
Mm-hmm.
It has the chance of causing panic in other units. So
Oh.
you could have if it was reduced to half health or less, they start having to make checks. Well, they did keep that, but if you're using something like a lot of orcs, great for it. You if you roll really badly, you could see two massive mobs of orc boys just decide, sod this, we're out, and have a whole army just do a runner.
Yeah. It's a little weird.
Again, this is also written at a time when the game. I do quite like this when the game was literally 4 turns long.
Uh-huh.
Then they decided who won. So the morale rules were really, really cruel like that.
Hmm.
There wasn't a lot of close combat, there might have been, but if you weren't in like the first 2 turns, you probably weren't going to see much close combat in it. Um, I think that's quite a fun way to do morale. Is it doesn't make just that unit panic; it can make everybody else start to think twice as well.
Yeah, because that is relatively realistic too. At least for like certain factions. Orcs, I'd feel is a bit weird because orcs never seem to back down from a fight. But
Well, they run away. The They can't fail leadership checks.
but I mean, like canonically, they
But
don't.
this was yeah. Well, they do if the war boss is killed.
Fair. Not the
I think
boss.
that's a really fun rule.
Hmm.
I would love to see that in the 10th edition, just to see like a whole like a 500 points of army just get really scared all of a sudden and just leg it off the board.
Hmm.
Yeah, do you know what Games Workshop would love that as well, because then you'd have to have more models on the board. You have to buy more.
Yeah. Yeah. Get more models. Get more lads.
Yep. And thinks I'm trying to get back into it, but I do think the power creep is a little obnoxious with 10th edition.
Hmm.
And I do well. It's an old problem, but seriously, if we want a bit of fun, look at the width. If you can find, look at the width of the Space Marine Codex and look at everybody else's.
Yeah.
It is comical just how much more stuff they keep getting.
Hmm.
I get that they're on the poster, but the Imperial Guard are on as many posters, but they don't quite have the same selection.
Yeah. It's kind of
Like
sad.
to put in context, yeah, like Space Marines now, I think have got like 4 different options for basic Marines.
Hmm.
Uh, the Guardsmen now have 3, but up until then, they had like before they did they renamed them to Master Science, but before then, uh, the options you had for basic troops were infantry squads. That was it.
Uh huh. Hmm.
Anything extra would be in like elite or special or fast attack or something. But they don't. But it didn't really hear many complaints about that. I mean, despite there having 1 unit to use, no one was really complaining about that because they just sort of functioned.
Hmm.
I just think it's quite funny. Space Marines. It's like they need to keep the Space Marine player base constantly fed and happy. So they keep getting more and more units to the point where it's getting really funny to just see that how big the book's getting.
Hmm.
Yes, it's yeah. It's the I can see the bloat in it. It's a bit like So I'm not sure I love that part of the fandom.
Yeah. I get it. So my
Um,
time machine ruling is a bit of an odd one because this is kind of an
Go on.
often off again on again. It's not so much a ruling as it's more a mechanic type that seems to have various different iterations over the years, kind of similar to Yourling, I suppose. I haven't really played the game in a
Uh,
while, but Pokemon TCG EXs. So they've had
Oh
various
yes,
different versions of them over the years, but currently I have issue with the current system of Pokemon EXs, and that is that you have to
what they
evolve
done with
your
it.
Pokemon into them, unless they're legendary. I This is old man yells at cloud moment. I remember the era where even fully evolved EX Pokemons were treated as basics. This made building a deck
Right.
using EXs a lot fucking simpler to do. Not necessarily better, just simpler. There's a kind of quiet simplicity to it. I don't have to run a bunch of absolute trash mobs. Meanwhile, somebody else, like, because, like, the legendary Pokemon EXs are still basics, so legendary Pokemon already have this massive advantage over the other, like, evolve-based ones that aren't really generally better than other EXs that are legendary Pokemon. So it's like, I just don't get it. Why they changed it back to now you have to evolve into an EX now. Stop.
Maybe there was some power creep or something. Had to
Yeah.
tweak it for
It.
because now I've seen several of the several new reprints of Charizard and various flavors of that.
Hmm.
So I wonder if some of those are a little too powerful. So like we need to make it really difficult for you to get these, because otherwise everyone's going to be getting them, and it's going to go one way.
Yeah, it's just the thing is though that you could run like Charmander and blinking rare candies to go straight into it. The problem isn't
Hmm.
how hard it is to get out. The problem is it makes deck building more tedious and more annoying. That's the problem. It
That's
doesn't
fair.
actually make them nerfed or less powerful per se. It just makes them more annoying to get out deck building wise. You have to run more chaff to get them out. You can still get them out as fast, but you also it just makes the deck less consistent, and it again, legendary Pokemon EXs don't have this problem, and they're just as powerful. So a lot of these EXs, unless you're Charizard, who's just broken anyway, just don't see a lot of play because they just suck. They're just too not. They're just too inconsistent because you have to, you know, do all the things with them anyway. And I just feel like we've
Mhm.
had it in the past where we've had other methods of like VMAX or weird things, which just been like, yep, this is a basic Pokemon, don't care, carry on, enjoy the game. Because remember, this is on compared to even the other like TCGs. This is supposed to be competitive play that even children should be able to understand. Is like
That's
a lot
fair.
of the design philosophy. So making things more complicated by having like an EX deck that requires you to jump through hoops to summon your big monsters, Yu-Gi-Oh style. Stop. Stop trying
Yeah.
to. Don't go full Yu-Gi-Oh. Never go full Yu-Gi-Oh.
I don't want 10-minute turns.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
exactly, exactly the thing. That's another thing. So again, it's like, oh, I search for this, I activate this, I draw a bunch of cards, I discard this, I play this, which evolves this into the big EX. I do this ability, I go and search for this, I put this on the bench, I activate this ability. It's just stop Yu-Gi-Oh-ing. Just stop.
To be fair, what if you time turns?
Oh, they do. It's just the fact that like they don't time them like even Yu-Gi-Oh times its turns and Master Duel and stuff. It's just that the timer isn't strict enough.
Yeah, it should. You got like 2 minutes.
Yeah, it's like it's just I'm sat
Oh, did
here,
you didn't get the? Oh, you didn't do it all in 2 minutes. Sorry.
game lost, lol, idiot.
Just you know,
But yeah,
or you could just play a friendlier deck. Uh,
or the Pokemon Company could like actually simplify certain mechanics so that you don't have to jump through a million hoops to do a thing. Because we know that the top players, it's not going to affect the top players. It's not going to make the top players' decks any worse. It's just going to make their turns take longer.
yeah, that's great. Little Timmy will be waiting a long time to get
Yeah,
his Charizard out.
little Timmy gets to have fun because he gets to just put the big thing into play, even if he doesn't understand how to use it properly. And the top players get to, spend more time actually attacking and doing the game than on their like setup for the turn.
Yeah, it's how it kind of felt was playing just the rank duels just to get my gems. It's
Hmm.
like I'm kind of throwing the game. Can you end your turn already?
Yeah, it's like, bruh. Like
We're
you,
not getting any points from this.
sir, you had game on board like 2 minutes ago. Hurry the fuck up and kill me.
Beat me already. Come on. Yeah, it's just yeah. It's
Uh, but yeah, that's my rolling time machine for the week. Bring back like simplify EX's Pokemon. Like just simplify it. It's just too confusing. Anyway, I
Pikachu with tail with cheeks of red.
I think that's gonna be it for this week. I hope you guys enjoyed.
Fair enough.
Thank you so much for
Yeah.
watching.
Thanks for watching, and have a nice week.
Everybody, get in the longboat. We're gonna go raid somebody. Let's
Now, oh,
raid
should we
Sonic.
check their check their on as well. They've had that happen once or twice.
Yep, I'm actually checking this time. It appears they are definitely doing a live. Also, apparently they're not
Yeah.
sponsored by Duracell. I don't know why, but apparently they're not sponsored by Duracell.
What if we just claimed everyone's sponsored by Duracell? Just buy everybody
So
out.
your raid message is below. People who are raiding also say we are sponsored by Duracell, and copy the raid message, and we shall see you guys next time. We're not actually sponsored by
See you next
Duracell.
week.
See you next week, and copy the raid message, and we
Can't
shall see you guys.